Now, you're only allowed 14 golf clubs at a time in your bag, so how do you use those slots most effectively? If you're like me and only carry 12 or 13 at a time, there are some spare gaps in your bag that I think you could be using much better. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about 7 golf clubs you should be adding to your bag so you can play better golf. Now, stay tuned if you do already carry 14 clubs, because I think I've got some really good ideas of how you can configure your golf bag much better. I'm at the beautiful West Hill Golf Club today. Let's get started. Okay, first up, I'm going to talk about having a second driving club in your bag. Now, an option I've got here is an adjustable 3-wood that you could loft down to something like 12 degrees as an option to have alongside your driver. Or there are some great products out there now, 2-woods or mini drivers in the case of the TaylorMade, that I think make great second driving options. We've seen the likes of Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson put these sort of clubs in the bag, and they act as a 2-wood, a little bit easier to hit, but still go as far as your driver. So if you've got a spare slot in the bag and fancy something other than a driver to use off the tee, I'd really consider this. Okay, my next suggestion for how to fill that 14th slot in your bag is another wedge. Now, if you just carry 2 wedges at the minute, I'd say definitely put a third in, probably a lob wedge like I've got here. If you carry 3 already, have you thought about a 64-degree wedge, putting loads of loft on it? There are situations where a lob wedge or a 64-degree wedge come in really handy. I'm on the first here at West Hill, and I'm in a bit of a pickle. Bunkers to go over, short-sided on the flag. This is a perfect time to use a lot of loft. So let's see if it works. It did, and now I might not use this club very often, but if you've got a slot to fill in your bag, I think a lob wedge or a 64-degree is a great option. Okay, next up, I'm going to talk about the top of the bag. I'm going to talk about Fairway Woods. I think one option I haven't got one on me, unfortunately, is a 7-wood. These are becoming increasingly popular. We've seen them on tour a lot. Cast your mind back to the Solheim Cup last year. Leona Maguire using her 7-wood to great effect over in the States. And it's a club that not a lot of people think about because they might want to put a rescue in instead. But I think the 7-wood offers you a lot more. It's about 21, 22 degrees, depending on the brand. And it's a great club for off the tee, for out of the fairway, approaching greens, and you'll see the height the pros can get on it. And I think you can too. For those of you with 14 in your bag, have you thought about dropping out a Fairway Wood and thinking about which ones you go for? I've got a great example here of a 4-wood. Not a lot of people would think that. A lot of people have 3 and 5. So for you 14 clubbers out there, how about splitting your 3 and your 5-wood and adding something elsewhere? Next up, I'm going to talk about driving irons as a potential option to fill your bag. Now, this is the top end of the bag, and you might have previously been a bit scared of a 2-iron or a 3-iron, but nowadays driving irons are much, much more forgiving and easier to hit. Their benefits come off the tee and off the deck on long par 5s, and they produce a really nice low ball flight that's especially useful in the summer. And these can work alongside a fairway wood and a hybrid. Don't think you have to replace one or the other. So think about a driving iron potentially to fill that 14th slot. Okay, another option to fill that 14th slot in your bag is adding another one of these. It's a hybrid. A lot of us probably only carry one of these, I think below a fairway wood, but I think there's real scope to add another to the bag, whether it's higher at the bag or lower down the bag. Personally, I think a great option, if you don't hit your 5-iron very well, I know I don't, I know a lot of golfers struggle with it, is to add a 5 hybrid to the bag. A lot more forgiving, you'll get the same sort of height and launch as a 5-iron, but they're a lot easier to hit. On the other end, if you want a little bit more distance, add a 3 hybrid or even 2 hybrid nowadays you can add to your bag. So I think there's a lot of scope to add a new hybrid to the bag and fill that 14th slot. Now, another club I'm going to suggest you add to your bag might be a bit controversial, but I think they're really useful. It is a chipper. Your ego might take a bit of a hit here, you might get a bit of stick from your playing partners, but I think it's going to save you a lot of shots out on course. If you're a bit yippy with your chips and you're not very confident with your wedges, using a chipper with a little putting stroke can pop that ball up in the air, get out of the long grass and get it rolling on the green. Right, so my final suggestion to fill that 14th slot in your bag might be a little bit out there, but I really think this could save you a few shots on the odd occasion. And that is to put a club of a different dexterity in your bag. Now, I'm left-handed, so that would mean putting a right-handed club in my bag, but if you're right-handed watching at home, put a left-handed club in your bag. Now, I've given you an example here. As a lefty, this isn't looking too great for me. If I stand in the bunker, it's well above my feet. So having a right-handed club here would be excellent. I could bunt it out there. I could even go for the green if I was confident enough. So there's situations like this, beside a bunker or even behind a tree or beside a tree, where having a club with a different dexterity could save the hole. I'm gonna have a go at this anyway with my left-handed club turned upside down, but oh, how I wish I had a right-handed club with me today, because then I wouldn't hit that. But you see the idea. So why not try it? Pop a club of different dexterity in your bag. Right, so those are my 7 suggestions of the way you can fill the 14th slot in your bag. What do you think of them? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you already carry 14, have I persuaded you to change that configuration of your bag? Please let me know in the comments. But for now, from West Hill, thank you so much for joining me. See you next time.